The air in the study was thick with tension, suffocating, pressing against Evelyn's chest. The antique clock on the wall ticked loudly, each second dragging her deeper into a nightmare she didn't see coming. "You were never my real daughter." The words sliced through the silence like a blade. Evelyn's breath hitched, her pulse hammering in her ears. For a moment, she thought she had misheard, but the cold look in her father's eyes told her otherwise. "What?" Her voice came out strangled, barely a whisper. Her father sat at the massive mahogany desk, his fingers tapping idly against a stack of legal documents. He exhaled, almost bored, as if this revelation meant nothing to him. "You heard me," he said, his tone unervingly even. "You were never mine." Evelyn's stomach twisted. "That's not true," she snapped, though a flicker of uncertainty made her voice tremble. "Mom, Grandma. Only blood inherits," he cut in sharply, pushing the papers toward her. "And you, Evelyn, you don't qualify." The words felt surreal, like a cruel prank gone too far. Her hands trembled as she stared at the documents before her. There had to be a mistake, a misunderstanding. But her father's smirk told her otherwise. "Prove me wrong," he taunted. Evelyn's entire world tilted. This couldn't be happening. This wasn't real. And yet, deep in her gut, a chilling thought crept in. What if it was? Tears burned in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of him. Gritting her teeth, she turned sharply on her heel, heading straight for her grandmother's private records. If there was a secret buried in her past, she was going to dig it up, and she would make him regret ever trying to erase her. Evelyn tore through the dimly lit attic, dust swirling in the air as she yanked open old trunks and rifled through stacks of brittle letters. Her grandmother had kept everything, receipts, photographs, even old birthday cards, but nothing that could disprove her father's words. Her hands trembled as she flipped through an old leather-bound ledger, her pulse quickening when she spotted a page with her name scrawled in her grandmother's handwriting. Her breath caught. There, beneath a list of financial transactions, was a single, cryptic note. Evelyn must never know the truth. It would destroy her. A chill raced down her spine. "What truth?" she whispered, her fingers tracing the faded ink. A sudden creak from the hallway sent her heart pounding. She slammed the ledger shut, shoving it back into the trunk just as the attic door swung open. "Looking for something," a voice drawled. Evelyn whipped around to see her older brother, Jason, leaning against the doorway, arms crossed. His expression was unreadable, but there was something in his eyes. Amusement, maybe even pity. "Stay out of this," she snapped, brushing past him. Jason grabbed her arm. "Dad's serious about this, Ev," he said in a low voice. "You won't find anything. Just walk away." She yanked her arm free, glaring at him. "You knew, didn't you?" Jason hesitated just long enough for her to see the truth in his eyes. "Unbelievable," she breathed, stepping back. "You've all known this whole time." He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "It's complicated." "No, it's not," Evelyn shot back. "It's a betrayal." Jason's jaw clenched, but he said nothing as she stormed past him, her mind racing. If her father, her brother, maybe even her mother had been hiding this from her, then she was truly alone in this fight. But that only made her more determined. She needed proof, and she knew exactly where to start. Her grandmother's lawyer. And if they thought she would walk away without a fight, they were dead wrong. Evelyn sat in the sleek, sterile office of her grandmother's lawyer, the scent of leather-bound books and faint cologne filling the air. Across from her, Mr. Calloway, an older man with sharp blue eyes, studied her with a measured expression. "I need to see my grandmother's original will," she said, her voice firm despite the storm raging inside her. Mr. Calloway sighed, folding his hands over his desk. "Evelyn, I'm afraid your father has already taken legal action to alter the distribution of assets. He presented documents, proof that you are not biologically related." Her stomach dropped. "That's a lie," she said, though her voice wavered. "There has to be another version, something that proves what she really wanted." Mr. Calloway hesitated before pulling open a drawer. He withdrew a thick folder and placed it in front of her. "This is what I have." Evelyn's fingers trembled as she flipped through the pages. Her name, her rightful inheritance, had been struck out. The ink was fresh. Her father's fingerprints were all over this. Anger burned through her veins. "There has to be more," she insisted, her voice rising. "Grandma wouldn't just erase me." Mr. Calloway's expression softened. "She didn't." Evelyn's head snapped up. "What do you mean?" He leaned in slightly, his voice lowering. "Your grandmother left me a personal letter before she passed. I wasn't allowed to share it unless you came looking." Her breath caught as he pulled a sealed envelope from his desk. The paper was old, her grandmother's elegant handwriting unmistakable. With shaky hands, she opened it and began to read. "My dearest Evelyn, if you are reading this, then the truth has found its way to you. I wanted to tell you myself, but fear held me back. There are things about your past that were hidden to protect you. I hope you can forgive me and find the courage to seek the answers you deserve." Tears welled in Evelyn's eyes. What was she protecting me from? Mr. Calloway exhaled. "That, Evelyn, is something only your mother can answer." A fresh wave of determination surged through her. Her mother had been silent long enough. It was time for the truth. Evelyn's hands clenched into fists as she stood outside her mother's house. The porch light flickered, casting eerie shadows over the wooden steps. She took a deep breath, steadying herself before knocking. The door creaked open, revealing her mother's weary face. For a moment they stared at each other in silence. "I know," Evelyn said coldly. "Tell me the truth." Her mother paled, gripping the doorframe. "Evelyn, please. No more lies." Evelyn shoved the letter forward. "Grandma wanted me to know. So start talking." Tears welled in her mother's eyes. "You don't understand." "Then make me understand," Evelyn snapped. "Who am I?" Her mother swallowed hard, voice barely above a whisper. "You were never supposed to find out." Evelyn stood frozen as her mother's words sank in. The night air was still, but inside her, a storm raged. "What do you mean he's not my father?" Evelyn's voice was hoarse, filled with disbelief and growing fury. Her mother's hands trembled as she gripped the doorknob, as if trying to steady herself. "Evelyn, please. Let me explain." "Explain." Evelyn stepped forward, her pulse hammering. "You let me live a lie my entire life. Why now? Why let him erase me?" Her mother's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "Because I was scared. Because your real father. He's not who you think." Evelyn's world seemed to tilt as the weight of her mother's words crashed over her like a tidal wave. Her heart pounded against her ribs, her fingers curling into tight fists as she struggled to breathe. "Someone powerful. Someone dangerous," she echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. "What does that even mean?" Her mother turned away, as if gathering her thoughts, before finally looking back at Evelyn with weary eyes. "It means," she said, her voice trembling, "that your father, your real father, was never supposed to be a part of your life. It was the only way to keep you safe." Evelyn's pulse quickened. Safe from what? Her mother opened her mouth as if to respond, but then her gaze flickered to the window behind Evelyn. Her face paled, and in a single motion, she reached forward and grabbed Evelyn's wrist. "We can't talk here," she said urgently. Evelyn turned her head instinctively toward the window, but she saw nothing beyond the swaying trees. A cold sense of unease slithered down her spine. "Mom, what's going on?" she asked, her voice now laced with fear. "We need to go somewhere no one will listen," her mother insisted. "Get your things. Now." Evelyn hesitated for only a moment before the panic in her mother's eyes became too real to ignore. She grabbed her coat, her mind racing with questions, and followed her mother out the back door into the night. They drove in silence. The rhythmic sound of the car tires against the road only seemed to heighten Evelyn's anticipation. Her mother's knuckles were white against the steering wheel, her lips pressed into a thin line. Evelyn's thoughts whirled. Everything about this night had turned into something out of a thriller novel. First, she learned her father wasn't really her father. Now they were driving into the darkness, running from something or someone she didn't understand. After nearly an hour, her mother pulled the car off the main road and onto a winding dirt path that led to an old lake house. The structure looked abandoned, its wooden exterior weathered by time. Her mother parked the car and turned to her, her expression full of pain. "This is where it all began," she whispered. Evelyn's breath hitched. "What do you mean?" Her mother took a deep breath, as if bracing herself. "Your father, the man who raised you, isn't your real father because I was already pregnant when I met him." Evelyn's stomach tightened. "I had fallen in love with someone I wasn't supposed to," her mother continued. "A man named Adrian Volkova." The name sent an unexpected chill through Evelyn's body. Volkova. That name was infamous. She had heard it in hushed conversations, in news articles about old money, power and corruption. If the name belonged to the same family she was thinking of, then her mother wasn't exaggerating about the danger. "You're telling me my real father was a Volkova?" Evelyn asked in disbelief. Her mother nodded slowly. "Yes. And when his family found out about me, about you, they wanted to get rid of us." Evelyn felt her pulse hammering in her ears. "But why?" Her mother's eyes darkened. "Because Adrian wasn't just some wealthy businessman. He was the heir to a criminal empire. And I was just a nobody, a college student who got caught in something far bigger than I could handle." Evelyn's throat went dry. Her real father had been part of the Volkova crime family, one of the most feared dynasties in the underworld. She struggled to process what she was hearing, but her mother wasn't finished. "When I told Adrian I was pregnant, he wanted to keep you. He wanted to run away with me to build a life together. But his father, Viktor Volkova, wouldn't allow it. He gave Adrian an ultimatum: abandon me and the baby or be disowned." Evelyn clenched her jaw. "And he chose them." Her mother hesitated. "No," she said softly. "He chose us. But he didn't get the chance to act on it." Evelyn's chest tightened. "What do you mean?" Her mother looked down, her fingers gripping the fabric of her sweater. "He was killed, Evelyn. They made it look like an accident, but I knew the truth. The Volkova family got rid of him before he could leave with us." A sharp gasp escaped Evelyn's lips. Her real father had been murdered. Her head spun as the pieces of the puzzle started falling into place. Her mother had run. She had erased all traces of Adrian from her life, married another man, and never spoken of him again. And now, all these years later, the truth had finally caught up to them. Evelyn sat frozen on the couch of the lake house, staring at her mother in shock. "Why are you telling me all this now?" she finally asked, her voice shaking. Her mother's face was pale. "Because they know you exist," she whispered. The air seemed to thin around Evelyn. "What?" Her mother swallowed hard. "I've been careful for years, but after your grandmother passed, there were inquiries. Someone started digging into the will, the family history. And now, the Volkova family knows that Adrian had a daughter." A cold fear settled in Evelyn's chest. "They'll want to make sure you don't try to claim anything," her mother said. "And they'll do anything to keep their secrets buried." Evelyn's mind reeled. Her so-called father had disowned her to keep her from inheriting anything. But in reality, there was something far bigger at play. She wasn't just fighting for her place in her grandmother's will. She was fighting for her life. A sudden noise outside made her mother's head snap toward the window. A shadow moved near the trees. "We have to go," her mother said, standing abruptly. Evelyn's heart pounded as adrenaline surged through her. "Go where?" she asked. Her mother's lips parted, but before she could answer, a sudden bang echoed through the night. Car door. Then footsteps. Someone was here. Evelyn barely had time to process what was happening before her mother grabbed her hand and yanked her toward the back door. "We run," she whispered. And as they stepped into the darkness, Evelyn realized that her fight for the truth was only just beginning. The cold air bit into Evelyn's skin as she and her mother hurried through the dense trees behind the lake house. Twigs snapped beneath their feet, their hurried breaths clouding in the night air. Evelyn's heart pounded. She could still hear the distant echo of the car door slamming shut, the muffled sound of footsteps approaching the cabin. "Mom, who was that?" she whispered urgently. Her mother's grip tightened around her wrist. "I don't know, but we can't stay to find out." They moved quickly, their bodies half bent as they tried to stay hidden in the shadows. The forest was thick, but Evelyn could still make out the faint glow of the cabin's lights behind them. Voice, low, commanding. "Search the area." They were here. Evelyn's stomach twisted into knots. The men were already inside the cabin. Her mother pulled her forward, moving even faster now. "We need to get to the car," she whispered. Evelyn cast a glance over her shoulder, her blood running cold when she spotted movement. Flashlights cut through the darkness. Shadows shifted between the trees. Who were these men? And how had they found them so quickly? Her mother suddenly veered left, yanking her down a small slope. Evelyn barely caught herself before stumbling into the muddy ground. They slid down to where a shallow creek ran through the forest, the sound of running water masking their footsteps. "Mom, I need to know what's happening," Evelyn hissed. "Are these people from the Volkova family?" Her mother swallowed, her eyes darting nervously through the trees. "I don't know. But we can't take any chances." A rustling noise made them both freeze. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. A figure emerged from the trees, a flashlight beam sweeping dangerously close to where they crouched. Her mother pressed a finger to her lips, signaling Evelyn to stay silent. The man paused, his face partially obscured by darkness. Evelyn could just make out the shape of a gun strapped to his belt. Her pulse pounded in her ears. Seconds stretched into eternity. The man turned and walked in the opposite direction. Evelyn exhaled shakily. Her mother gripped her hand. "Come on. Now." They moved quickly, following the creek until they reached a small dirt road where her mother's car was parked, hidden beneath overgrown branches. As soon as they climbed in, her mother jammed the keys into the ignition. The car roared to life, its headlights flashing on. A second pair of headlights flared to life just up the road. Evelyn's breath hitched. Black SUV. Waiting for them. Her mother cursed under her breath. Without hesitation, she slammed the car into reverse, spinning them around. Tires kicked up gravel as they sped back toward the main road. "They were waiting for us," Evelyn gasped. Her mother's jaw tightened. "I know." The SUV's engine roared as it took off after them. The chase had begun. The car jolted as they hit the uneven pavement of the main road. The SUV was gaining on them, its headlights glaring through the rearview mirror. Evelyn gripped the seat, her pulse racing. "Mom, what do we do?" Her mother's gaze was fixed on the road ahead, her hands steady on the wheel. "We lose them." She slammed the gas pedal. The car surged forward, the engine roaring. Trees blurred past on either side as they sped through the night. But the SUV wasn't backing down. It swerved aggressively, inching closer. Sharp jolt. The SUV rammed into their bumper. Evelyn let out a startled cry as the car fishtailed. Her mother fought for control, gripping the wheel tightly. "Hold on." Another hit. The car skidded, tires screeching against the asphalt. Evelyn's stomach lurched. The road ahead split, left toward the highway, right toward an old bridge. Her mother didn't hesitate. She yanked the wheel to the right. The bridge loomed ahead, its wooden planks barely visible in the dim light. "Mom, the bridge." "I know," her mother said. "Trust me." The SUV hesitated for just a second. That was all they needed. As their car sped across the bridge, her mother suddenly yanked the emergency brake. The tires screeched, the car spinning into a sharp turn. Then, in one swift motion, she shut off the headlights. The SUV barreled forward, straight past them onto the bridge. Her mother gunned the engine, reversing quickly into the cover of the trees. A second later, crack, the bridge gave way. The SUV plunged downward, its headlights vanishing into the darkness. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. Silence. Then a distant crash. Her mother exhaled shakily. "Are they?" Evelyn whispered. Her mother didn't answer. She simply grabbed Evelyn's hand. "We need to go. Now." They drove in silence for nearly an hour, only stopping when they reached a small motel on the outskirts of town. Evelyn could still feel the adrenaline surging through her veins. Her mother looked exhausted, her hands still trembling as she turned off the engine. "We'll be safe here for the night," she murmured. Evelyn swallowed hard. "Mom, what just happened?" Her mother sighed, running a hand through her disheveled hair. "I don't know who those men were," she admitted. "But someone doesn't want you digging into your past." Evelyn shivered. Everything was spiraling out of control. Just a few days ago, she had been focused on her grandmother's will. Now she was on the run, being chased by men who might want her dead. She turned to her mother, her eyes fierce. "No more running," she said. "I need to know everything. About my father. About the Volkova family. About why they want me gone." Her mother hesitated. Then finally she nodded. "All right," she whispered. "I'll tell you everything." Evelyn braced herself. She had a feeling the truth would change everything. Evelyn sat on the edge of the motel bed, her heart still pounding from the escape. The dim yellow light buzzed softly above them, casting shadows across the faded walls. Her mother sat across from her, silent, staring down at her trembling hands. Evelyn couldn't wait any longer. "Mom," she said firmly. "No more secrets. No more running. I need to know the truth." Her mother inhaled deeply, rubbing her temples before finally meeting Evelyn's gaze. "You were never supposed to know, Evelyn," she whispered. "But now there's no choice." Evelyn leaned in. "Know what?" Her mother's lips trembled. "The man you knew as your father wasn't your real father." Evelyn's breath caught. "What?" Her mother's voice was barely above a whisper. "Your real father was a Volkova." The air in the room seemed to freeze. Evelyn shook her head. "No. That can't be true." But deep down something inside her stirred. Her mother's hands balled into fists. "The Volkova family. Evelyn, they're not just rich. They're powerful, dangerous. I left that world to keep you safe. To make sure they never found you." Evelyn's mind reeled. It felt like the ground beneath her had crumbled. "I don't understand. Why would they want me gone?" Her mother hesitated. "Because you're a threat to them." Evelyn swallowed hard. "A threat how?" Her mother exhaled shakily. "You're the rightful heir to everything. The inheritance, the fortune, the empire. They want you erased, Evelyn. Because if you come forward, their power crumbles." The weight of the words crushed her. Evelyn felt her entire life shift in a single breath. Everything, the way her family treated her, the sudden violence, the men chasing them, it all made sense now. She had been living a lie. She wasn't just some forgotten daughter. She was someone they feared. That Evelyn's hands curled into fists. "Then I won't run anymore," she said, her voice steady. "If they're so desperate to keep me out, that means I have something worth fighting for." Her mother's eyes widened. "Evelyn, no. You don't understand what they're capable of." "I don't care," she cut in. "This ends now. No more hiding. I need to face them." Her mother's face crumpled with worry, but after a long pause she sighed. "You're just like him," she murmured. "Like who?" Her mother hesitated, then whispered. "Your father." The word sent a chill down Evelyn's spine. But before she could respond, a loud knock at the door. Both of them froze. Evelyn's heart pounded. A voice from the other side. "Miss Volkova. We need to talk." The dim motel room felt suffocating, as if the walls were closing in on Evelyn. The tension between her and her mother was unbearable. The truth had finally come out, but it was incomplete. pieces were missing, and Evelyn was determined to fit them all together. She sat on the edge of the bed, her fingers gripping the worn-out sheets as her mother paced back and forth. "You were never supposed to know," her mother whispered, her voice cracking under the weight of the confession. Evelyn's stomach churned. "But now I do, and I need to understand everything. No more half-truths, no more secrets. Who exactly was my father?" Her mother hesitated, staring at the floor as if searching for the right words. Finally, she took a deep breath and looked Evelyn in the eyes. "Your real father," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "was a Volkova." Evelyn blinked, confused. What? The name felt foreign, unfamiliar. Yet, something about the way her mother said it sent a cold chill through her veins. "The Volkova family," her mother continued, "isn't just wealthy. They're powerful, ruthless. Their influence reaches far beyond what you can imagine. Your father was once the rightful heir to their empire." Evelyn's chest tightened. "Then what happened?" Her mother's expression darkened. "He fell in love with me." A bitter laugh escaped her lips. "I was nothing but an outsider, a woman with no connections, no wealth, someone they considered disposable. But he chose me over them. And for that, they erased him." Evelyn felt the air drain from her lungs. "They erased him," she echoed, barely able to get the words out. Her mother nodded slowly. "They exiled him, made sure he had nothing left. When I became pregnant with you, they gave him an ultimatum. Return to them and abandon me, or lose everything. He chose us." Evelyn's heart pounded. And then, tears glistened in her mother's eyes. "He tried to build a life for us, but he never stopped looking over his shoulder. He knew they wouldn't let us be happy. He was right. They found us. And they made sure he disappeared." Silence hung in the air like a thick fog. Evelyn felt a lump in her throat. "They killed him, didn't they?" Her mother squeezed her eyes shut. "I don't know. I never found proof. But one day he went out, and he never came back." Evelyn's pulse roared in her ears. This entire time, she had been searching for the truth about her father, the man who had raised her, only to find out that her real father had been erased before she ever had a chance to know him. And now, the same people who had stolen her father's life were trying to erase her. She clenched her fists. "Then why did you stay with him?" she asked, her voice thick with anger. "Why did you marry the man who raised me? Why did you let me believe he was my real father?" Her mother swallowed hard. "I didn't have a choice. After your father disappeared, I was alone. Vulnerable. The Volkovas made it clear that I had no place in their world. But if I wanted you to survive, I had to disappear too." Evelyn shook her head, unable to process it all. "So you married him because he could protect us?" Her mother hesitated. "Yes. And because he promised to keep their eyes off of you." Evelyn froze. "What do you mean?" Her mother sat down, taking Evelyn's hands in hers. "The Volkovas never wanted you to exist, Evelyn," she said softly. "You were a loose end, a reminder of my defiance, of your father's betrayal. If they knew you were alive, they would have come for you too. So your stepfather, he agreed to hide you, to raise you as his own, as long as you never laid claim to your real heritage." Evelyn's breath caught. "That's why he suddenly turned on me," she murmured. "Grandma's will." Her mother nodded. "The moment you became a threat, he did what he had to do to protect himself." A bitter laugh escaped Evelyn's lips. "So I was never his daughter. I was just a problem he agreed to take care of until it became inconvenient." Her mother flinched. "I tried to stop this. I wanted to tell you the truth years ago, but I was afraid. And I knew if the Volkovas found out." She trailed off, but Evelyn didn't need to hear the rest. Her entire life had been a lie. And now, she had a decision to make. A sharp knock echoed through the room, making both women jump. Evelyn's mother shot to her feet, her face pale. "Did you tell anyone we were here?" she whispered. Evelyn shook her head. The knock came again, louder this time. Then a voice from the other side. "Miss Volkova, we need to talk." Evelyn's blood ran cold. Her mother's grip on her wrist tightened. "Evelyn, don't open that door." But Evelyn was done running. She slowly stood up, her heart hammering. This was it. The moment everything came crashing down. Taking a deep breath, she reached for the doorknob and turned it.